equal opportunity.
I don't like that much distance.
It's a lot.
But let's see what we can do.
Yeah, so good morning, good morning.
Careful on that with your
Yeah.
heels.
Yeah, well, get that on film, that'd be a good one. Good morning, we're so glad you're here, we're so glad you're here. Quick show of hands, if you took and made the better choice, no judgment, if you made the better choice and took the notes page, go ahead and give me a Oh, we won.
Raise your hand if you took the large slide. Oh, that was nice. Thanks.
That was nice, that was nice.
I'll be honest, I win this every single
Baloney.
time. No, every single time I win it. She does it by weight, but clearly mine way more because they are larger slides, so there's more pages. So this one I need not hold them and like do this. I lost, straight up. Congratulations. I don't know.
And she feels such joy from crossing one item off the list and then adding another to it. Finally, Monica is a confident person, and you see that in everything that she does. It's probably one of the things that makes her most intriguing and inspiring to people. When she says something, she believes it. She believes what she says, and she is confident that it's appropriate and it's relevant and it's useful. It's for the good of the cause. And I think it's what makes her, I guess, so easy to listen to and so easy to trust and so interesting to be around. So this is Monica Chota.
I don't know if it's genuine clapping or because you told them, but that was
It's
nice.
genuine.
That's nice.
It's genuine, no doubt.
All right. Presentation addressing what our strengths are, because that's the key of this entire presentation. As a 7th grade science teacher in Mattoon and a 3rd grade elementary teacher in Mattoon, one of the things that we have found most beneficial, whether it's teaching science or elementary school, whether it's in our first hour advisory classes or meeting the kids in the cafeteria, whatever location that we are in, we have found that the most powerful tool in getting to know our students and learning about their lives and building relationships on a social and emotional level is unleashing their strengths. So we want to start by hopefully getting this clicker to work.
Oh,
It was
you're
working earlier.
You're clicking over there.
Well, what? These were linked earlier. Where's our tech friends?
She's outside.
Did it not go
Oh,
well?
you froze this side.
That's right, we did. Let me see what I can do here. Yeah, good call. Tech support. Oh my gosh. All right, so we want to start with something that as teachers, I think we were kind of bred to do this, but as we started thinking about it, we're like, maybe we should stop doing this. It's that we often tell our students that you can be anything that you want to be. Like, we're like, You can do it if you work hard enough, if you dedicate yourself to this, you can do anything you want to do. You can be anything you want to be, which sounds really nice, but when we do that, if we think really seriously about that, sometimes we are setting our students up for failure. Because if they put all of their time and all of their energy into it, and then they can't actually do it, well, then they just feel like they've been fed this lie. So we often say, like, you can't be anything you want to be, and that's like, this like harsh reality. Start the presentation off with a Debbie Downer. But the reason why we say it is because we've got this societal and educational view that Rachel's going to tell you a little bit more about.
So, as a whole, as a group of teachers sitting here, we tend to kind of look at everything from a deficit approach. So that deficit thinking, and we invest all of our time and all of our energy and all of our resources. We pour them into our students that are not meeting. Always, we pour all of our energy into that, in hopes that by pouring all of our efforts and all of our energy and all of our resources into those students, they will meet. We give the discovery test in Mattoon, so we always hope that they're out of the red and they're at least like yellow. We're in the yellow, so we're meeting. We're with our grade level peers. But by doing that, focusing on programs like RTI and reading, No Child Left Behind, we're never putting any resources into those strengths that those students have. All students have strengths. So what ends up happening is, we make the naturally really talented in those things that they're really, really good at. We kind of push them to the side and focus everything on the things that they need more time, more instruction, more resources on. So we make them from not so good to okay, when instead of taking those things that they're really good at and moving them from good to great. So we end up with this class full of C students. We never improve their strengths. We never put our emphasis and our focus on that to make them great. Instead, we focus all of our time, all of our attention, all of our resources to the things that they're not so good at and make them okay. So then we've got a classroom full of C students and no one that is set apart from the rest. So that's what makes people employable. Set yourself apart from the rest. And we're teaching kids that we're all C students, we're all average, we're all meeting, and that's what we want, instead of pushing them to go above, to go beyond. So we like to say, instead of focusing all that time and all that attention, push them further, push them beyond.
So if you look at this from like the bullying perspective, from the social and emotional perspective, right now we're basically creating what is a flatline student, right? So all of our students who are what we would consider our high achievers, they're getting the brunt end of this because programs that would cause them to rise to a new level have been cut. We don't have our project extras anymore. We don't have our enrichments. We don't have all of these awesome opportunities for the kids who are excelling to excel even more because they're stuck in this group while everyone else is getting their extra attention and their extra help. So when I explain this to my group of
kids in our classrooms. So we're not here to tell you this is something that you can implement tomorrow by going to this website. It's not that way. It's shifting your entire mindset. We started to realize as we started researching this and learning a little bit more about this, that at any given moment in time, we know every single statistic about our students guess from an educational perspective. We could tell you their tier on the RTI pyramid. We could tell you their Lexile level. We could tell you how many words a minute they're reading. We could tell you what rung on the discovery ladder they're on. We could tell you anything of that at the drop of a hat. But do we ever really know who they are, what they enjoy? I'm not saying your favorite food is pizza, your favorite color is red. I'm talking really who they are, what makes them move, what makes them tick, what makes them feel empowered and special. And do we know that? And as we kind of started researching and looking, it became strikingly clear to us that we don't. So how can we give our kids everything and move them to the next level and push them to go beyond and motivate them to go beyond when we just know them as Lexile level 975 and RTI tier 2, and how can we push them to go beyond?
So programs that we implement, new textbook series, those are not changing students. Those might adjust their academic levels slightly, but this mindset that we are talking about, this strengths-based mindset, is about relationship building, and that changes students. This strength-based teaching is something that we have adapted really, based off of a business model. Some of the most successful businesses in the world are using this strength-based approach with their employees. Taking employees and basically saying, what are your top strengths and how can we use those strengths to maximize our businesses? So we started looking at this thinking, if they can do that, because sometimes people compare schools to a business. They're running a business, and I don't like that, but I do like the concept of if they are doing that and figuring out what their employees can do for their business, how can we figure out what students can do for our communities? And that kind of was like the key that unlocked all of this. So we like some visuals. These are my peeps. These are the students who that I work with most closely on this strength-based approach. 12 to 13-year-old students, that's kind of how it is every day. You got kids in like pajamas and you got kids in suits. At my school, that's how it works. I don't really know why, but you get a little bit of everything. This is a group of Rachel's students working with my students. Sometimes we do some partnerships. So
we should be clear, as we look up to the top of this, they're thinking, holy cow, that's the biggest third grader I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's both of our students. We kind of bring them together for collaborative projects and some cool things to work on strengths together. Mine are the smaller set of individuals, obviously, right? But it does kind of show you just
this
more
mindset.
of what you see each and every day.
Yeah, and that this mindset can work no matter what grade level you're focused on. This is just kind of to show you at the end of the year, because of this concept, there is like mind-blowing things that happen. These students become truly like a family. On the last day of school last year, the students knew their top strengths, they knew their peers' top strengths, and they wanted to end the year with a toast. They said, you know in the movies how they always like pop bottles and like cheers? Can we do that? Because we're such a close family. Like, we've built these amazing relationships. And there's like, I have boys in Gumby ties and suit coats who are crying on the last day of school because they don't want to say goodbye to their family members. Not their classmates, their family members, because they have had such this close bond because of this strengths-based approach that I went to the Walmart and I bought like a case of sparkling lemonade and started popping bottles all day so we could toast each other in their strengths. That's what they wanted to do on the last day of school. While the rest of the school was outside eating dilly bars and playing kickball, mine were inside having a celebration of strengths. That's what this mindset is doing in the classrooms. So before we move on to actually tell you how to unleash these strengths, we totally need to define the difference between an interest, a skill, and a strength. Rachel mentioned like knowing like pizza is their favorite food and blue is their favorite color is great, but that's not the strengths-based approach. So an interest, to define what that is what your students actually enjoy. As teachers, we're very good at determining what our students actually enjoy doing, whether it's playing sports, listening to music, traveling. But sometimes what we forget is just because they are interested in it does not mean that they are good at it. Okay, so best example that I can possibly give to you is a student of mine who decided to join the band, and he started playing the saxophone. And at the semester, at like around Christmas time, there's always this Christmas concert. and the student said to me, Miss G, are you coming to my band concert? And I'm like, yeah, totally. And they're like, okay, awesome. Like, I'm really enjoying this. This has become one of my interests. And I'm thinking, awesome. So I go to the band concert, and I walked in a little bit late, but I gave him like the, I'm here, and he's like, this kind of thing. And I sit down, and it's his turn, and he gets out his saxophone, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And I start hearing some noises coming out of it. I'm like, okay, good. He's warming up, getting it all tuned up. And it keeps on going like that. And I'm thinking, okay. And then at the ends of what I thought is warming up, everyone is clapping. And I'm like, yeah, that was amazing. Turns out that was his performance. I went in because, like, thinking that Kenny G was going to be performing some sort of concert, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. He stands up, he put his saxophone down, and like was grinning ear to ear. He thought that he had killed it. He had killed some people's ears, not the performance, but I mean, he loved it. It was an interest of his. So as teachers, and maybe even as parents, sometimes we stifle our students' interests because they're truly not good at it. And that's okay. God love Rachel. She has an interest of travel. But don't let her drive the car because we're never going to get there. She doesn't have this directional type of thing. It's not going to happen. So I'm the navigator.
Yeah, I see some like, you get it, you get it. We don't have it either, it's okay. I need like McDonald's on the right, Burger King on the left, this northeast southwest business. I don't even.
Yeah, even with GPS, like that thing recalculates more than I've ever seen.
You know it, you've heard it.
Yeah.
They say
Like make an illegal U-turn is like the number one thing that is said. But the point is that we all have interests, and as long as we enjoy them, we're good to go, okay? So build our students' interests up. Yes, find something that they enjoy, even if it's not something that they are skilled in. Because a skill is what your students are great at. As teachers, we kind of know our students' skills because we think of those as like academic skills. Like I know which of my students are really skilled in math or science. I know which of my students are exceeding, okay? But the opposite of this is sometimes we forget that just because your student is skilled in that area does not mean that they actually enjoy it. Another example of this is I had a student who was killing my class. I mean, I would give them as much challenge as I possibly could. I would throw anything at them and think, ooh, this is going to get them. They're going to be stumped. And they would excel on everything. And so I'm having this conversation with the student. I'm like, what branch of science are you going to choose as a career? Like, you thinking engineering? You thinking medicine? You thinking like vet? What's happening? And they're like, oh my God, none of those. And I said, okay, what do you got? What branch of science are you going to choose? And they're like, I hate science. And I'm like, what? You are amazing at science. They're like, it's my least favorite subject. I hate your class. Wait, but I like you a lot. I like you. I just don't like your class. I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. Like, I am shocked. So this is a great example of their skill level, very, very high, but they aren't interested in science. And that happens sometimes. So interests, what your students enjoy, skills, what your students are great at, but strengths, this is the good one. This is what makes your students great. And there is a difference. There is a difference between what they enjoy, what they are great at, and what actually makes them great. The strengths is at the core level. This is the kind of stuff that your kids cannot explain. Your kids cannot explain why they feel the need to be extremely, extremely, extremely reliable. They cannot explain why they're a discoverer. They can't explain why they love asking W questions. You know that kid who's like, what? Well, how does that work? When does that happen? Why does it do it like that? Those kids, if you said, why do you keep asking questions? I don't know. Why are you asking me why I ask questions? Right? These are the things that they don't really understand why it's happening, but they are just wired that way. And all of us have these. All of us are naturally wired in very specific ways, but as teachers, this is the missing piece. This is what we are not discovering in order to totally build our students up. So as teachers, our goal is to teach those skills. Whatever area that we are hired to teach in, I teach science skills, but I nurture my students' strengths. And as I do that, I am totally building them up on a social and emotional level, not just for the relationship that I have with them, but that personal relationship that they have with themselves and the relationships that they are building with their peers in my classroom and with the community. You want to tell them about these great flowcharts we made?
So You love a flow chart. You know the
Who
flow
doesn't love a flow chart in
In order
education?
to call a parent, you must first do this, then follow flow chart to B, then follow flow chart to C. Do you have these in your district? No?
No.
No?
Mattoon is obsessed with the flow.
We
You
have
really
a flow
don't?
chart for everything.
We have a flip
No
book
one
of
has?
flow charts.
And you must, and they will ask, you have to date the flow chart. I completed A on this day, therefore I went to C. It's like Quiz Fest. Like,
I love
would you
Quiz Fest.
rather be in the summer or the winter? If choosing winter, go to A. If choosing summer, go to D. You know what I'm talking about? Can you follow it? Okay, we have these for everything.
Oh, man.
We thought that was a
Transfer
good
to
one.
your district. Anyway.
So we talked about, as teachers, we want achievement. We need to show progress. We need to show growth. That's something that has to happen. So while this sounds like, oh, it's all feel good and everybody loves each other and everybody feels good about themselves, and it also, we have seen time and time and time again, because they feel so great about themselves and because they feel so comfortable in your classroom and because they feel so comfortable with their peers, naturally their achievement increases also. So by developing this strength, we enhance their character. They know who they are, they're confident in who they are, they love who they are, and they understand this is the way I am and this is why X, Y, and Z works for me. This is why I work this way. By doing that, we just see them soar. We see them soar.
So another flow chart, because we really thought other people could
We really
relate to this.
did.
We were trying to make connections with our audience, but how many
No
of you
one
are
else has a flow chart?
how many of you are pre-service teachers? Okay, a lot. Well, let's hope and pray that your district
Let us
doesn't
be clear,
have
we
these.
love pre-service teachers.
Yeah, no earmuffs to all non-pre-service teachers, but it's our favorite group of people to work with. Truly it is. We love everyone. All right. Anyways, so another flow chart is this strength discovery creates great thoughts. These great thoughts create positive emotions. These positive emotions create happy lives, happy head, happy heart, happy kid, like happy life, right? So I think this is kind of why, the bullying conference kind of asked us to come, because this is something that we do in our advisory classrooms, in our first period classes, but this is something that could be used on an universal level as an intervention. So many of these bullying things that are happening in these bullying programs are reactive approaches to problems that already exist in schools. This, proactive. We have found that in our classrooms, our behavior problems and our bullying behaviors and all of these disrespectful and disobedient things have decreased tremendously because we are taking the proactive approach to things.
Additionally, it's almost as if you're kind of working from a different angle. So if you were looking at a student that was a bully, you would
We use this because this is like these.
We don't,
The
because
vocab on
I
this
think
has
it's
gotten real
overused. I
skewed,
think
but-
bully is overused. So if you're finding a student is a bully, then you would, I guess, talk to them about how they interact with others, what their relationship is with their peers. Why are you struggling with specific students? What's happening in your relationships? This kind of approaches them at a self level. Let's first come to a self-realization place so that you know who you are. Then we can figure out how better to work with others. Until you realize who you are and what you need and why you kind of work the way that you do, to fix how you're working with others is really not going to happen. You're still trying to figure out who you are. So this whole approach really does, I mean, it has changed everything in the classroom. Now this is the meat and potatoes, this is the big stuff. So as we started researching this, we realized that there are 10 different strength descriptors. There are 2 strength assessments that we'll talk a little bit about later. One is for the adults, one is for students. We obviously use the one for students, and it's the one that we're most familiar with. So in that strength assessment, that profiler, there are 10 different strengths listed. These are those 10 strengths. It's amazing, every year, we have a new group of students, and every year, each one of these strengths are identified somewhere in each and every single child, which is the most interesting dynamic that we have. So we, at this point, kind of like to open it up to you and say, look at this list, see if there are 3 words on this list that you believe are innate characters that you have that make you who you are. Now, what we caution you to do, not to do, I suppose, is look at this list and say, and basically do process of elimination. Well, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. So I guess I would be this and this.
The 3 left over are the ones that I am.
So
That's what we're trained to do. Our kids are trained to think deficit approach. Like, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this, so I'm the leftover. I don't know if that's a teacher thing, a societal thing, a parent thing, but that's how our kids are wired. So we kind of have to reframe them and be like, think really clearly on this. Like, think also not what your parents have said you are, not what your peers have said you are, but this is a self-perception exercise. What do you feel like you bring to the table? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
go ahead and do it.
Me? What?
No, them. Go ahead and do. I mean,
Yes!
Self-assess.
That-
Gosh, that was awfully harsh. I apologize.
We
Jeepers.
can rewind.
Please choose the 3 that you think best fit you. Thank you so much. Now I see you 2 girls over there cheating. They're saying like, which one do you think?
Girl, don't do it.
Okay. Not a lot.
Did you give them a lot
Not
of
a lot.
time?
Not a lot of time. I don't like a lot of wait time. Don't like a lot of wait time. Is everybody ready? Close enough to ready?
I'll wait forever for the right answers. This girl knows that. She was at my presentation earlier this week. I'll wait till crickets happen for good answers.
No, I start getting shaky. We got to move on. Okay, so here's what we kind of like to do. I'll go through each one of these, and if you have identified this word, this strength, as one of your top 3, go ahead and raise your hand. Just a quick show of hands. Achieving. Who chose achieving? Very nice. Okay. Competing. Okay. Confidence. Now,
This is what I call
every
the
year,
T-Rex
every
arm.
single time we do this, and Monica says they T-Rex arm it. They did it every time. If you were confident, now this guy back here, what's your name, friend? Andrew. Andrew back here, I believe he does have confidence. He did like this.
And the head shake like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yes,
get a little point. That's me.
It's amazing how many people say confidence is one of their strengths, and then they do like this.
That's what we call the T-Rex arm, like the dinosaur. Like,
Put it up. You're confident that that's one of yours. Caring. How many caring friends?
we're working with teachers today.
Now wait, here's the next thing we want to ask. How many of you are elementary school teachers or majors?
Same people.
We speak to a wide variety of people, and every time we can tell by the time we have this question, we can tell if it's elementary school teachers or not. Here's what happens. We get to caring, and everybody raises their hand. We tell a story that's kind of heartwarming, like warm fuzzy, and they do this.
And they like close their eyes and nod their head when they do it.
Yeah, you've done it. You have, because I've done it.
They're the
I've
ones
done it.
tearing up in the middle of stories.
And everybody be raising their hand for
You
caring.
teach to it like we do this. We do specific like middle level conferences too, and then caring comes up and it's like none of you.
but things like competing come up in middle school teachers like,
Yeah! You're like, oh god. That's very interesting. We could do a whole like research study on that. But
Yeah.
anyways.
Future thinking. Dependability. Ooh, that's good. Fun facts about Monica and I, we have taken every single one of these profilers that we can get our hands on. Any company that publishes this, anything that we can get our hands on, we take it every single time to see if we get nearly the same results. And of all those tests that we have taken, those profilers we have taken, never, not ever, not one time have either of us ever achieved the top strength of dependability. Kind of scary. America's
Professional
youth.
educators.
America's youth, educating America's youth. No dependability whatsoever.
Not on the radar.
None. So you're in great hands. Organizing. Relating. Presence.
Oh, praise Jesus.
Good for you, friend. Good for you. And are you confident too? Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Discover. Okay.
All right, so a few things that I've noticed, and this is not atypical at all. In a group of, I don't know, what do we got here, like maybe 40 people, every single one of those strengths was identified at least once. You saved us on the presence thing. That was going to get weird. But every single strength is identified at least once. And this is what we've seen in our class periods. in our year to year, or for me from period to period, every single strength isn't identified at least once. So you've kind of got this melting pot of strengths every single class period, and you can use those to your advantage. Another thing that we like to emphasize to students and to anyone we present to is all 10 of these words are inside of you at some point in time, okay? We say that strengths are either dialed up or dialed down. The top 3 that you identified are probably those that you see most frequently in situations in your life. Those are the ones that are dialed up the most. Are we dependable people? Yes, we are. Most
I mean, you'd hope
most of the
shout,
time, I would say
right?
yes, okay?
We're here, we showed up.
Yeah. I feel like we did more than that.
Yes, I mean, I'm just saying we're dependable.
But the point is that the strengths, the point of those is not to say like, oh, I'm not this one, but to like own them. These are my top 3 strengths. Yes, I am all of those, but these are the 3 that are dialed up the most often in any given situation in my life.
Additionally, we should say that these strengths look different in different people. One of the very first presentations we ever gave, there was a woman sitting in the front row, and we tell this story every time. She sat in the front row, and when we got to organizing, she confidently said, yep, absolutely. And so I talked to her and I said, so what are you like a label person? You got labels on everything. Everything's got a specific drawer, a specific place. And she said, oh God, no, oh my, no, not at all. But she said, I love to plan a party. And I said, so explain that to me. And she said, I'm very good at figuring out what needs to be done and organizing people to get it done. So she's good at finding these, like delegating these jobs and making sure that all things are taken care of. Organizing an event, organizing a situation. So it's interesting to us to hear how people take this in a different way. So what one person considers organizing, another person says, well, I'm organizing, but not like that. So I think it's interesting too that you all have each one of these strengths, and while 2 of you may have organizing as one of your top strengths, you can take it in very different directions. I feel really bad for these friends over here.
I know.
I'm
Should
sorry.
we present
really
the second
sorry.
half of our presentation
Yeah.
right here?
Maybe I'll just stand right here.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The cameraman was like,
Sorry, he
oh,
was taking a little
they were in
break.
place.
Just stand right here.
Wait, is this done at 9:40? This is generally like a 2-hour presentation. They gave us 50 minutes. Is that right? 9:40? Is that what's happening?
Are you guys wanting to stay for another hour? You are.
Who would do a double session now? Maybe don't raise your hands. Maybe no.
That's loaded. That is a loaded
Sorry.
question. Did you see? Nobody raised
No,
their
yeah,
hand. Did you
pretend
catch
like I
that?
didn't
No
ask.
one.
Okay, sorry. All right. So we're gonna run through some of these classroom culture things briefly, because we want to really get to the storytelling on specific instances on how this has affected our students. But we truly have created what we would call a family dynamic in our classrooms. Notice what we did there with the word family. See there, Illy? That's nice. I feel like this side of the room gets a little bit more. It's just the pre-service teacher. That stands for I love you. Illy? No? Text that? Okay.
Elementary school teachers don't do this nearly
That's
as much.
adorable.
I mean, we just don't do it nearly as
Okay.
much. Middle school teachers, you guys do it. Mhm.
Truly,
Yeah.
truly, my class periods are not like 2nd hour, 4th hour. They refer to themselves as like, that's my 8th hour family right there. Oh, you're in my 9th hour family. Like, this has truly created this bond that I can't replicate with anything else that I've ever tried in my classroom. Additionally, the students recognize and appreciate each other, not just for the things that they have in common with them, not just their interests and their skills, but more importantly, their strengths. They can come to the table, and if they're doing a partner activity, they know like that they should grab somebody who's a discoverer because they are not a discoverer. So they're going to bring something to the table that their peers wouldn't be able to do. Tell them about complementary partnerships.
Well, I mean, you are so very privileged because you get to witness a very complimentary
I mean,
partnership.
look
like
at this too. This is not an accident. We planned this.
Obviously. We have a couple killer outfits. We're needing to expand a little bit because if you've watched us present before, you're probably thinking, I think I've seen that outfit before. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. We're on rotation.
It was Green and Navy Day.
It was a Green and Navy Day. Complementary partnerships, it's interesting to see how kids work together and how kids that are what seems like completely polar opposite of each other just work. It just makes sense. One of the things that we do in both of our classrooms is flexible grouping. So we see what works in one classroom and what works with one age group, one set of kids, does not work for the next, as you well know. From year to year, everything changes a little bit. It was really interesting when we started doing this. I said, oh my gosh, I identified all my kids' top strengths and I put them at tables, like at groups based on their top strength. It was incredible. We were moving mountains. I could have given them anything to do and they could have done anything. It was amazing. It was like they were all speaking each other's language. They had this respect and rapport with one another. It's like they were in this club, this group. And I said, Monica, you've got to try this. It is going to revolutionize your classroom. And she's like, okay, I'll try it.
It was not good. So I put all the students who were competing together for a lab. That involved fire. That was mistake number 1. Okay? So the entire time they were using the scientific method to determine like the most flammable way to use a cotton ball in isopropyl solution. I don't know what I was thinking, because they're like, well, I bet we can create a bigger fire if we do this, and then another competitor was like, well, I bet if we do this it can explode more, and then nothing ever happened because all they were trying to do was one-up each other. And I thought, awesome, nothing has been completed in a 44-minute class period. And then the carers, all the like heart people are at a table and like, it's your turn to share your idea. And they're like, that's a really nice idea. What idea do you have? And like, so they didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Everyone got to talk to each other, and it was like a Dr. Phil like circle session. And so I'm thinking, literally 44 minutes later, like the discoverers just have a whole bunch of W questions written down that they want to solve, but they didn't solve anything. So I'm like, hey, Rach, great idea. That was not effective.
But in my classroom, it's like you put all the carers together, and you know the tummy aches that start to happen, so you send them to the magic water fountain. You have the magic water fountain at your house or at your school. Okay, so at our school, anything, my stomach hurts, my this hurts, my that hurts, go get a drink of water. The magic water fountain will fix it. You've done it. Go get a drink of water. That'll help. So if you put all the carers together, and then you've got like, oh, I don't feel very good, I'll say that, carers, and they stand up, we'll go to the water fountain. Right? Like, that's going to fix it. Like, my feet hurt. Go get a drink of water. That's not going to do anything. So, it's just amazing how different it can be from 3rd grade 8-year-olds to 7th graders. It works for me, and it did not work for her.
No. One of the things that I think, though, that has been created at my middle school level is this almost like the secret society. This is not something that has gone global in my school yet. I started with a pilot group of 15 kids in my advisory, and this year I've expanded to my entire team of students. So now I'm working this mindset, this idea with 130 kids that I see, not just in my first hour advisory, but all 5 of my science class periods. So the kids who are on my team know their top strengths and are able to communicate with the entire team. But then it's neat to go to the cafeteria and start talking to kids who are not on my roster. And I have my students being like, Miss Genta, sit down. And they're eating their tots and hanging out. And they're like, so this is my friend. He's on the other team. And I think these are his top 3 strengths. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. So I've known him for like 5 years. And so what I started doing after your class and learning about the strengths was I started profiling everyone. I'm like, awesome. So
you've all been profiled.
You've all been
at the door.
That's why we meet you at the door. We try to figure out like, oh, what's this person's strength? It's positive profiling, right?
Yeah.
Generally
speaking.
So anyways, it's neat because it creates a secret society. They are talking and using common language and vocabulary that only a certain group of students in the school understands, and that creates this almost elitist quality in it, and they kind of love it.
Something that's really cool that I've seen at the elementary level, we this year for the first year have expanded school-wide. So we are 750 students doing the strengths program. So doing it obviously in different ways. To talk to a 5-year-old kindergarten student about dependability is going to look a little bit different than you would do with a 10-year-old 5th grade student. But we are using strengths language school-wide, which is so cool to see. One of the first things that I saw was when doing it with my students was one day our principal walked into the classroom and he said, hey guys, what are you working on? And started talking to the kids, and one of my students went up to him and said, Mr. Molesky, I can tell you've got great presence. And this is one of those students that's just struggling every day, and goes up and uses that vocabulary and is confident enough to say it to the principal who walks in, you've got great presence. And then goes on and explains it to him, why he has presence, what he saw in him that caused him to say, your top strength is presence. So to see that and to have them with such confidence say, I love strengths and I know all about it and I can tell you yours and I can tell you all about it is such a neat thing to watch them do.
We want to take one student and let you know about all the different relationships that were built because of this concept, because of this mindset. We said that programs don't change students, but relationships sure do. So I had this student named Spencer last year, and his top 3 strengths were relatable, caring, and dependability. And so this totally changed the teacher-to-student relationship that I had with him. Spencer had a lot of baggage, had a lot of background, came from an expanded family, was just extremely overweight, and because of that had a lot of health complications. Because of his health complications, missed school a lot. Because of health complications, couldn't participate in PE at all. Because of that, he had to sometimes leave my classroom to go get like oxygen from the nurse's station. I mean, the list went on and on and on. So the relationship that I built with him was very unique because at the time, Rachel and I were training for our very first full marathon. And so, like, we did what every good marathon runner does. We went out and bought really cute clothes and protein powder. So we thought, that's so.
What are you going to do with the protein powder? We don't know, but everybody else
that's
carries
what
it
people
around.
think. We've got to go get those shaker cups, right? So that's what we did.
And we looked very
so
official.
fly, and we had protein powder. So we got these cups, and every morning for breakfast, we would have a protein shake. So during this time that I had Spencer, I would be like shaking that thing up, and he'd always be like, Mr. Hunter, what flavor are you having today? And I'm like, cookies and cream. He's like, does it taste like cookies? And I'm like, no, it tastes like chalk. But anyways, so he would often be like, well, can I fill up your shaker cup at the water fountain? I'm like, sure. So he would always ask, how's your running going? How are things going? And like, was totally trying to connect on this level, even though Spencer wasn't a runner. Not at all, not at all. The day of my birthday, I walk into my classroom and I have an enormous tub of protein powder with a bow sitting on my desk with no card, no nothing. And I'm like, what's going on? And so I thought, like, maybe it had been from Rachel. I thought maybe she had crept into my classroom and put it on my desk. And so I set it aside, and first hour rolls around. Spencer comes in and says, did you get it? Did you get it? And I said, what? And he's like, the protein powder. And I was like, that's from you? And he said, yeah, my mom took me to the GNC. We had never been before. And I'm thinking, probably not. And so he's like, well, we didn't know really what to get, so we talked to the people a lot about protein and health. And he's like, my mom even let me get some. She said that I could try doing this. And I'm like, oh my God. So this was one of these things, because of his ability to relate to people, was able to take an interest of mine and try to make a connection to my life. Even though he has no background in running or health or fitness or anything, he was able to build that relationship and make that connection. So cool. Additionally, he ended up getting a lot of truancy calls because he was never in school because of health reasons. And because he's such a carer, he noticed in the past when people had been absent from class. And there was one boy who had lots of presents in my classroom. And one day Spencer said, hey, can we call him? He's gone from school today. And I said, buddy, he's only been gone one day. And he's like, yeah, but he's got so much presence. It clearly shows that he is not in the classroom today. And I'm like, how can I argue with you using strengths vocabulary? Let's call him up. And I said, wait. Why do you want to call him so bad? And he said, well, do you remember that one time that I was absent for 5 days and you and the advisory family called me to tell me to get better and to come back? I came back the next day because you guys called me in class. So maybe if we call him, he'll be back tomorrow. So I'm like, oh, that was one of those, like, for a moment I had a caring moment and went like, okay, we're going to do this. So we call him up, call this boy who's been gone just one day, and we're like, yo, London, where are you at? And he's like, guys, got a dentist appointment. I'll be back tomorrow. Stop worrying about me. And we hung up the phone, and Spencer's like, I think it was still a really good idea that we called and told them that we cared. And I'm like, using that caring quality. Additionally, had so much communication with that parent throughout the year because he was constantly missing work. But it was neat because I was able to tell his mom how dependable her son was. Because anytime he was absent, he would come back with a stack of completed work and said, okay, here's everything. I just want to make sure that I have it all turned in on time. Can I go in and check in with every single teacher to make sure that I'm caught up, to make sure that there's nothing that I need to get, to make sure I'm not missing anything? So to be able to tell his parent, like, listen, I know you've got a lot on your plate, a lot of health issues, a lot of attendance issues, but your son is so dependable. Created a really neat relationship with his mom that I talk to frequently. And finally, people who have backgrounds in special ed know that those IEPs often ask for student strengths. And you're like, they turn in their homework sometimes. It's like pulling, like what are we gonna put on this IEP as a strength? Special ed teachers love coming down to my classroom being like, Monica, give me the top 3 strengths of that kid. And I can be like, well, they're relatable, they're caring, and they're dependable, and here are examples why. To be able to go from a special ed level and say, these are their strengths, not their interests, not their skills, but these are their true strengths, and put that on a legal special education document is awesome.
It's interesting, we don't list this on here, but I had a student to take it even further. So these are all things that we see directly at school all the time. However, I had a parent call me when I first implemented this program, and he was, it was an expanded family. Mom was working a couple of jobs, dad was working a couple of jobs. There were 7 kids. The oldest was in 3rd grade, so 8 years old, 7 kids. So obviously there's a lot of stuff going on at their house. And he said one day his daughter, who was in my class, came up to him and kept saying, Dad, Dad, Dad. And he said, I kept pushing her aside, just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. So I was trying to get dinner done and dishes done and just nightly things taken care of. And so he said, I kept kind of pushing her off and pushing her off and pushing her off. And he said, finally, I kind of lost my temper, and I said, you've got to go sit down. Like, go sit. I can't deal with this right now. I've got to deal with, like, she's the oldest. So he had to deal with all the other younger siblings as mom is off at one of her jobs. And he said, at the end of the night, I went into a room to tuck her in, and I said, I am so sorry. I should not have done that. It's not fair. I know there's a lot of you, but I want to be sure that I give you the attention that you deserve. You're a great kid. You helped me out so much, so please, I'm sorry. Let's talk now. I've got a couple minutes here before bedtime. Let's talk about this. And she said, Dad, it's okay. No big deal. I understand there's a lot of stuff going on. And when you did that, I went ahead and made a list of every member of our family, so 9 people. And I wrote down everybody's top strength. And I figured out how our family works. Why I'm the one that's responsible for this, and why you're the one that's responsible for this, and why mom's really good at this, and went through every single member of their family and I guess profiled their top strength to figure out how we all work together and how we can work better together so that these evenings that we have that are crazy and hectic and how they can be a little bit more manageable. So he called me and he told me this, and he said, I don't know what it is, and keep doing it, whatever it is, but know that this strengths program, this that you are doing in your classroom right now, completely changed the dynamic of our family. So to see it not only at school and with students and with teachers and with staff, but to see it then from a family level, from 9 people sitting around a dining room table and talking about each other's strengths, it doesn't get any better than that.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. I know you're wishing this was more than a 50-minute session, but we want to leave you with the title of this book. We didn't write this. There's a different book that I could highly suggest. I know the author of that one, but this book we did not write, but it is one that we have found to be extremely beneficial in our classroom. It's called, conveniently, Teach with Your Strengths. You can find it on the Amazon. Additionally, if you Google these items right here, these are basically strengths tools that you can use, strengths assessments, if you will. The first one is one that there is a fee for, but the bottom one is a free online tool that you could use with your students in your classrooms to develop and to unleash their strengths. So we want to
know that we spoke to I don't know that we ever said this, we spoke to the Clifton, the top one. That's what this presentation is based on. Their strength descriptors, their assessments, their profilers, that's the one that we spoke to today.
We want to thank you so much for coming. We got contact info up here, email and numbers and that kind of stuff. If you're interested in hearing more and want an expanded session for you as an individual, your organization, your school, let us know. We do some outside consulting as well. But thank you so much for coming and absorbing this information. We hope you have a great day and have a fantastic Friday.
Thanks, guys.